Welcome to the official Windows 8 channel, and today we are going to talk about the reliability monitor in Windows 8.1. You're using a computer, maybe you find that it seems to be sluggish, or maybe some apps crash, or sometimes you get these weird error messages. You're not really sure what's happening with your computer. And even if your computer is fine, it's actually a good idea to check the reliability monitor because it tells you pretty much every day when you're using it what crashes, maybe what application or program that hangs, or whatever type of problems that might be coming up. It's not because there's no error messages or visible effect on your computer that your computer isn't having some internal crashes. Windows is in general very quiet. A lot of things can happen and go wrong inside Windows, and you still don't know, and it still works fine. So the reliability monitor will give you that information, and you can use that to try and troubleshoot maybe a problem in Windows 8. So go into your search on your start screen or on the charms menu, and there you will type reliability, R-I, reliability, and you should see view reliability history. Just click that, and it's going to create a report. And that report will have different icons. So you see here you've got every day. So here it starts May 1st and goes up to May 19th or 20th today. So it gives you information. Now you see that in each day I have a little red X circle with an X. I've got also that little information events. So you click a day. For example, this is May 1st. And you will see why you have these little icons showing up. So it tells me that critical events, my All Recipes app, stopped responding and was closed. So it gives you an idea that, okay, and if I click every day here, what I notice is that my All Recipes app is actually crashing all of the time. So that is an interesting thing to take note of. Maybe I should, uninstall, reinstall the app, or maybe it just crashes. But you see what? I have All Recipes crash all the time, but I never notice it. And actually, the computer just probably stops the process, and that's it. So you have that information. So whatever app or program you see that crashes all the time, at least it gives you the information of what it is and what crashes. And if you see a main program that you use all the time crash all the time, maybe it's a good idea to check why it crashes and maybe reinstall the app or the program itself. You also have these little triangles here. For example, I've got one on May 8th, a little yellow triangle, and it says Google Updater Helper unsuccessful application reconfig. Now, don't go crazy on the error messages. You will never have a computer that's completely without any error messages. That is one of the things that people sometimes just take too much time to control. A lot of people say, oh, I've got this app that once a month crashes and I haven't been able to fix it. Well, if it doesn't change anything for you, if your computer still works fine, if it just crashes once a month and you have no effect, don't try to fix it. Crashes are not always crashes. An example here is on May 15th. If I look at May 15th warning, it says Windows malicious software was failed Windows update. So it wasn't able to update itself that morning or that day. Doesn't really matter because it doesn't do that every day, and that's what you want to check for. If there's some information like this that's once in a while, it's not really a problem. And you know what? Because my malicious software failed to update on May 15th, it didn't on the other days, which means that the other days were okay, first of all. And you know what? It failed to update. It doesn't mean that your computer has a problem. It can have failed to update because Microsoft's servers are overloaded or are unavailable for some reason for updates. So it's not necessarily a problem. What's nice here is that when you click and you have these critical events, for example, as they call them, which are the ones with the red X, and technically the ones that are most important, you can click check for a solution. And most of the time, and that you have to be used to it, that little no new solutions found will pop up. But it's worth it to try, because on some software, some drivers, it might pop up a window and say, oh, you've got an update to that driver or an update to that program that actually fixes this bug. So at least try it. Like I said, if it doesn't do anything wrong on your computer, if you haven't noticed any problems on your computer, I wouldn't try to fix it. Here, if I check the red X, you notice that it's always all recipes app that's crashing in my computer. So if I check for all recipes, what I could do is simply go into my apps, and the all recipe app, I can say, well, right click, I'll uninstall it and try to reinstall it from the Microsoft Store. Maybe it's going to fix it. Maybe not. Some apps will crash all of the time, but it still doesn't prevent the apps from working on my computer. So you can check that out. If you don't know what it is, then you can, of course, go and click on go on Google and just, search for the information. So if you say, well, okay, on this day I have anything else, health and fitness stopped responding and was closed, stuff like that. You can check for solutions, but you can also, if you don't know what it is, because these are, in this case, almost always apps. But if you have, for example, here it says Microsoft.Windows Communications, you can Google that and see what it is and what can be fixed if there's a problem. As you notice here, if I check for a solution, almost everything is not particularly, there's no solutions, there's no problems here. So check for that. Make sure that if you have critical events and they always come from the same apps, maybe you can reinstall the app or remove the app and reinstall it. But don't worry too much about this. The reliability monitor is mostly there if you, I would say the best way to use it is if you have some major problems with your computer. It freezes, it crashes, it has some major issues, error messages. Well, now that's interesting because you can go here and check for what is actually crashing in your computer, and it's going to give you that information. Everything that crashed will be written here either in critical events or in warnings. Most big crashes are in the critical events area. So check for critical events. If your computer crashes all the time, go and check if it's not always the same process. If it is, then there's maybe something you can do, and you can use Google and say, well, okay, I don't know, system communications manager crashes in Windows 8, and check for solutions and check the different forums for people talking about this same error message. So it's something to check for and use a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't actually use Google to search for a solution to their problems. And you know what? Google is a very powerful tool for that. And basically, probably most of the people that use my channel actually Google a problem or a function they want to learn, and stumble upon one of my videos, for example. So use Google a lot for all of the information that you see here, and hopefully With this, you can see what's wrong and what's not. Of course, you can check for days, and you can click and check for weeks and have all the information. You see here it dates back up to March, February, January, man. You know, the last information I have in this monitor goes back to the month of January. So it goes really far back. You can check it out. There's a lot of stuff here. So hopefully you can use that reliability monitor and help yourself if your computer's crashing all of the time. So if you have any comments, questions on what you've seen, why not check? And you see, while I was recording, I had a driver error on my graphics card, for example, and you see here, I can check this and it says hardware error. And as I'm going to use it, it just happened to, it doesn't have a lot of information, but if I restart the computer, for example, it's probably going to give you more information and say, well, it's your graphics driver. Now, it's normal that my graphics driver does crash from time to time while I am doing a screen recording. It's probably some kind of interaction with my screen recorder, but it doesn't prevent me from using the computer. But it gives you an idea of what you can check for in case of problems. So subscribe to our channel if you want to learn and more about Windows 8 and know when new videos are online. If you have any comments, questions, maybe a problem, maybe a feature of Windows 8 you'd like us to talk about, let us know. You'll be helping others at the same time. And hopefully you will come back to the official Windows 8 channel. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.